Harley-Davidson brings us the 25, Mr. Consistency. From Ellington, Connecticut, Sean Foster.
A one-time winner in car number 91 in the Earth Technology car, the Earthshaker, Frank Ruocco.
Avery Racing brings us car number 10A from Somers, Connecticut, for Dan Avery.
Then it will be car number 51 in the Extra Mart Cool Beans coffee car, the Water Warrior, Zach Sylvester.
The Buckeye Construction number 5 from Lebanon, Connecticut's up next for Mark Buckeye.
The Bullet will be next in a 40-year Motorsports Rewind Hangover Prevention car, Jeff Burrell.
Stafford's all-time winningest, the Broadband, John Geepool and Drywell. Number 13 from Plainville, Connecticut, TC, Ted Christopher.
A one-time winner in car number 52 in the Davidson Company car, Woody Pitcat.
Then it's the Bowles Chrysler Jeep Dodge, car number 76 from Ellington, Connecticut, for Tommy Bowles.
Last week's winner will be in car number 88 in the Wheelers Auto and Hems Welding Machine, Keith Ruocco.
Dairy Queen of North Brantford brings us the 43 for John Monticello of North Brantford, Connecticut.
Then the 55 will be occupied by Nicole Morgillo in the Brothers Pool car.
Davidson Specialty Foods brings us car number 3 from Manchester, Connecticut, for Jeff Malave.
The Doctor in car number 39, Chris Jones Roofing, the sponsor for Chris Jones.
Taking over this automobile tonight after losing an engine in practice, it's Todd Owens out of Somers, Connecticut, with car number 97.
Then it will be famous Raymond Grissetti in car number 16.
Then it'll be the Canton Auto Supply, number 96, for veteran driver from Canton, Kurt Brainerd.
A rookie in the Flamingo Motorsports car, number 05, Adam Scavora, the driver.
And the car starting scratch is car number 22 from Southbury, the Jervis Motorsports machine for Michael Jervis. Let's go to Joe Koss. Joe?
Well, Ben, the story of the night we mentioned in heat race qualifying competition for the SK Modifieds has to be Keith Ruocco and his dominance throughout the SK Modified division here in the 2010 season. Last week, an outstanding victory. He drove down Jeff Burrell, went by him with ease, and then cruised on to an easy victory. Now, one of the tricks about that is the fact that NASCAR here at the Stafford Motor Speedway has a tire rule. You can only take so many tires, and the team strategized when they're going to put new tires on their race car. Last week, Keith Ruocco only had one brand new sticker tire. This week, they'll have 3, but he's got to start from the 14th position. Why was he so good? Because he got the handling of that race car to work so well through the center of the corner that the tires didn't matter. They were just that good. Will Keith Ruocco be just that good again tonight? Well, we're going to find out at the end of 40 laps.
Joe Koss tire strategy is key in this division. That car was the fastest car in practice, not on race tires, but on their practice set. Let's see what's going to happen as the field is paired off at rows of 2, ready to do battle. Like gladiators about ready to go center stage in the main arena, it is showtime. These are the fastest cars of the night. Our contingency partners for the SK Modified division here at the Stafford Motor Speedway include CarQuest Auto Parts, Valvoline, Davidson Specialty Foods in memory of David Rowe, Call Before You Dig, and New England Racing Fuels. John Holland's Company, providers of Sunoco Racing Fuel.
Eric Burt, earlier tonight, he went to his 5-year-old daughter's kindergarten graduation. Tonight, he'll try to go to the head of the class for the first time this year in the SK Modifieds. He's starting on the pole, ready to get us started for 40 great laps of motorsports. The voice of Stafford Motor Speedway, Ben Dodge.
We're ready off turn number 4. Get ready. Hold on to the edge of the seat. You're going to need just that because this is the fastest division of the night. Jackaroot's Dream, the SK Modifieds, green and racing down to the bottom of turn 1.
Burt gets a good getaway, but right there with him is the 77 of Matt Gallo, and also is Sylvester, and it's Anderson trying to invade the top 3.
Anderson makes some magic on the inside. Look out, here comes Ruocco. He's racing to the outside lane. Back to the stripe they come in the outside groove. Ruocco is the fast car there. Meanwhile, he forces Britt Anderson back, but the Bulldog leads him down the backstretch. Here comes Josh Sylvester. He's knocking on heaven's door.
It's Sean Foster leading the next contingent of cars, followed by Avery. The top 7 cars could fit inside a microwave. Josh Sylvester, he is plastered to the back bumper of Eric Burt. And now here comes Gallo making an aggressive move. The Tasmanian Devil move by Gallo as he tries to corkscrew his way underneath Eric Burt.
Bottom of the racetrack, Gallo becomes the brand new leader. Britt Anderson says if he can do it, so can I. Meanwhile, Foster and Ruocco do a little dancing. Now Ruocco goes from the high line to the inside lane. Dan Avery is a factor as well. Down the backstretch, here comes Anderson. He'll take over second. Ruocco, the man on the move, car 91.
As he goes down low, as he is able to rabble-rouse his way into third. Now he attacks Eric Burt. Car number 91. He is blurring his way into turn number 2. as he moves into the top 3. Sylvester has an opening. Let's see if Thunderfoot, Josh Sylvester, can get there.
He makes a bold mid, takes it in deeper than most. It just doesn't happen. Here comes Foster with Avery off the turn. 4 cars bidding for 1 spot on the racetrack. Sylvester on the inside lane.
And Sean Foster is also a factor, as he is all over Sylvester like the cotton on a Q-tip. Woody Pitcat making a move underneath Ted Christopher. So Christopher currently in 9th. When they hit the stripe, this will be lap number 6.
6 laps of this feature event now complete. Meanwhile, while all that's been happening, trouble now. Here comes Burton. He goes underneath Sylvester. Here comes Foster. With him comes Christopher. Here comes Woody Pitcat. Trouble now. It is Britt Anderson into the wall.
Right underneath the Bosch spark plug sign in turn number 3. And then a lot of guys stack in along there with him. Tommy Bowles in the 76, Nicole Morgillo, the 39 of Chris Jones.
And at the top of the pile, it is car number 20 for Jeff Burrill, who became a victim of circumstances. The back end of that race car is literally up on top of the Jones machine, and Morgillo looks to, well, pull away under her own power. But Britt Anderson made some heavy contact with the wall going into turn number 3.
He was the first one to go, and then everybody followed his lead as Nicole Morgillo quickly goes on to pit road. Keith Ruocco started the night with a 50-point lead over Woody Pitcat. And remember, Todd Owen in a borrowed car, number 97, he started the night in 3rd place, 70 back. And Dan Avery, not bad for a 55-year-old guy, Ben. He is 4th, only 2 points behind Owen.
Well, down on pit road, Joe Koss has been down there talking with the teams. And Joe, what have you got for stories for us?
Well, there's a lot of stories developing throughout the day here at the Stafford Motor Speedway here in this SK Modified division. I think one of the stories that you have to look at is Woody Pitcat. Now, this is a team that won earlier on in the year, but hasn't been able to have that consistent success that both Woody Pitcat and their crew chief, Jimmy Fuller, expect week in and week out. Now, earlier in the day, they had to replace the clutch. They've had mechanical problem after mechanical problem this season. They had to replaced the power steering rack because it was leaking a little bit. Then they made wholesale changes. Jimmy Fuller told me earlier in the afternoon, he said, I was embarrassed with what we had last week. I think he was embarrassed on what they had in the heat race too, and they're trying to make that car turn a little bit better so Woody Pitcat can be competitive week in and week out.
Well, we're now going to take a look at our monitor here from Broadcast Central and see if we can figure out what happened in just a moment. Matt, there's the way it looked when they went down into turn number 3. Britt Anderson's car looked like the left front wheel just locked up and he went straight to the outside. And then after that is where it all seemed to go wrong.
Yeah, a lot of drivers joined Anderson in no man's land as we look at it from a different vantage point. As Anderson wound up in the wall, and then a car spun. I believe that was Tommy Bowles in the 76 that spun, and everybody had to put on the brakes to avoid him.
And now we'll take another look at it from a different perspective as we're going to play it back. And again, pretty much the way that you saw it, Matt. There's no question about that. Everything just got jammed up, and it was a chain reaction. Joe, car number 21, tell us what's happening there.
Well, but kind of an interesting story with Josh Sylvester and these guys. They've been getting better and better every single week. I talked with their team a little bit earlier on in the day. Of course, Don Silberman, the owner of this race team, a team that doesn't have a ton of funding, but they have been successful. Now, he's in the 3rd spot. They had started so deep in the field earlier in the season that they didn't think that they would be able to work their way up through the field as smoothly as they would like to. So they worked on the chassis a little bit, tried to get that car to handle better. Now they've got a shot to do something with it, but the problem is every time they get to the outside lane of the racetrack, you saw them out in the racetrack sliding backwards, so they really need to use this inside lane, starting in the 3rd spot on this next restart to their advantage.
Yeah, the last time he was outside, Eric Burt was able to crowbar underneath him. They were working on Tommy Bowles' number 76 car. The Bowles family, how many years has Ed Bowles and Tommy Bowles and that family been involved in motorsports? More than 30 years, and they just haven't been able to figure that car out. Cal Chandonnet is standing by in the pit box of Nicole Morgillo.
Early out of the race so far, but they're actually going to take off their radius rod on the right front. They're going to work on the upper and lower control arm, checking out the suspension from that last wreck. She has some damage to the front Nerf bar here, but nothing significant, but they are checking out the right side. The radius rod, definitely the problem. For more, to Joe Koss.
Well, Cal, down here in the Tommy Bowles pit, left front suspension damage. They had some work on the right side. They've repaired that. Now just the attention focuses to the left side. Some of the tie rods and things are bent on the left side on the lower half of the suspension. It's a tough break for this team. They had just had the motor refreshened because earlier in the year the motor overheated and they didn't realize that it had damaged the race car to the point where it wasn't being as competitive horsepower-wise. They thought that they were going to have a good night tonight, but unfortunately an early incident will sideline them for the moment, hoping to be able to get back out into the Speedway, though, with some repairs.
There's no question about that. It's a tough start for them. What about Team 20, Joe? Just, well, just down the road, a bit from where the 76 is. That car was literally up on top of the engine of the Jones machine. It did not appear to suffer any severe damage. They brought it down on pit road. We see him check underneath the race car, and now they're sending it back out. Any reports from that group and what's going on there?
Well, visually, the car doesn't look all that bad at all. Just the right rear bumper is kind of pushed up just a little bit, probably at about a 30-degree angle up towards the right side. Now, you look at this race team. This is a team that finished second last week, led a majority of the event early on in the early stages of the event, but they haven't been able to hit that consistent setup week in and week out. And they've made some more changes this week trying to find something, but they just haven't been able to be consistent. It's kind of an interesting scenario with the 20 group.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we have finished 6 laps.
That's correct.
So 34 left, just scratching the surface in our 40-lap SK Modified feature.
And we'll set the field for you. Currently the leader, of course, is the number 77 for Matt Gallo. Brett Anderson was running among the top cars, as we said, and he was involved in that altercation. So Frank Ruocco will currently set in second. Josh Sylvester is third. Eric Berndt is in the 4th spot. Dan Avery is 5th. Sean Foster is 6th. The back eye machine is 7th. Teddy Christopher is 8th. Woody Pitcat is 9th. And then Zach Sylvester is 10th. Who's just out of the top 10? Well, it's Keith Ruocco with car number 88. Jeff Malave directly behind him.
And in Sunday's Hartford Courant, there was a good story on all the female competitors at Stafford Motor Speedway, and a good color photo of the driver of car number 55, Nicole Morgello, along with Heather DeRocher. So I'm sure that story is still available on the Courant website. So I'll look into the Elite 8, the contingent of Stafford female competitor. I think more female drivers than any track in the Northeast.
Yeah, I'd have to say that. You're right. And talented, good female drivers as well.
Well, we saw it in the SK Light feature tonight. 4th and 5th finish respectively for Erica Santos and Heather DeRocher.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. 5 minutes after the top of the hour, we'll be back from the Stafford Motor Speedway.
With over 25,000 dedicated CarQuest Auto Parts professionals across North America, we're proudly serving a world in motion.
We're back from the Stafford Motor Speedway. I'm Ben Dodge, along with Matt Buckler, Joe Koss, and Cal Shannonette. We are 6 laps into the SK Modifieds, the fastest division of the night. Gallo has been the shining star so far. Frank Ruocco, a former champion, is giving them a dogfight battle at the point. Then it's Sylvester, Eric Berndt, the early leader. Then it's Dan Avery, alongside Sean Foster in row number 3. Back eye in row number 4 with Ted Christopher. Woody Pitcat and Zach Sylvester make up the 5th row. 6th row, it is Keith Ruocco and Jeff Malave. Get ready, it's showtime as we're about ready to go back to green.
Let's see what kind of jump Matt Gallo can get. Matt Gallo in car number 77. Next door is Frank Ruocco, and Ruocco is able to blockbuster his way into the lead.
Down to the bottom of turn number 1, he's showing championship stuff, but all of a sudden, Bird gets a second wind, and he takes over the lead. Believe it or not, down the other end of the racetrack, here comes Frank Ruocco back to life. off the turn. They rumble and they thunder back to the line. And look at Sean Foster. He's among the top 4 cars.
He's having one of the best runs of his SK Modified career. What about Eric Burt? He gets some bite in turn number 2. Gallo coming up. The top 3 cars could fit inside an onion ring. Here comes Frank Ruocco, and there is trouble a little deeper in the field. Is getting shuffled to the outskirts was Ted Christopher.
Ted Christopher gets shuffled. His teammate, Dan Avery, moves into the top 5. Here comes Christopher. He's coming back to life. He'll now take over the 6th spot. Backeye is back in 8th. 9th is Woody Pitcat, and 10th is Zach Sylvester. Off the turn they come, and Ruocco still leads them back to the stripe. Meanwhile, it is Gallo still setting in 2nd. Burt still in the 3rd spot, and Sean Foster will round out the top 4. Here comes Christopher
making a move. Let's see if he can get underneath his teammate, Dan Avery. And it looks like he is going to complete the mission, Ben. So maybe the brightest bullet in the holster is Ted Christopher moving into the top 5.
Christopher moves back into the 5th spot. His next target becomes Sean Foster with car number 25.
10 laps finished in this one, 30 to go.
Deep down into turn number 3, Ruocco still the shining star. Gallo is still reeling him in. Here comes Christopher. Meanwhile, Foster right there. Christopher makes a bid for it down low. Battle is for the 4th spot. TC, Ted Christopher, is coming. He's there alongside Foster. Shuffles back to 5. Here comes Avery in 6th. Backeye in 7th, and Pitcat now coming to life, car 52.
He tried to jackhammer his way underneath Backeye. Didn't have enough adrenaline to polish off that move. Great battle for the lead between Ruocco and Gallo. Better battle for 3rd between Burt and Christopher. And Christopher, this is a Ted Christopher we used to know. He has rallied his way to gallop in the top 3.
The Jean-Guy Poulin Drywell car, 13 laps up on the board in this feature event, has now moved in to take over position number 3. But the driver is not a 3rd place driver. He's a winning driver. Meanwhile, Gallo is all over Ruocco. Battle is still on. Here comes Pitcat further back in the field. He just went around Backeye, and believe it or not, Keith Ruocco is still struggling back in the 10th spot. Matt, we are surprised at that one.
As at this time last week, he was up in the upper tier of the field.
Backeye is off the pace with car number 5, Matt.
He was 7th before that happened. Christopher now is within striking distance as he has pythoned his way into the top 3, looking the roller coaster his way underneath Matt Gallo.
Matt Gallo right there now gives him a little tap, looks to the inside, pulls it right back in the line. Here comes Christopher. Bonsai move to the bottom. He taps the back bumper of Ruocco, and Gallo becomes the brand new leader.
As the 2 cars were congested with each other, Ruocco and Christopher, that gave Gallo the advantage he needed. On lap number 16, he has taken over the lead.
No question about it. He is the leader of the pack. Meanwhile, keep your eyes on Woody Pitcat, Dan Avery, and Sean Foster with car number 25.
Now Pitcat trying to move down low as he tries to bazooka his way underneath Avery. Didn't have enough bite to make it happen. But Pitcat has been a player. Here's a battle for the lead. Frank Ruocco trying to get his top spot back. Gallo giving up ground very grudgingly.
And while that's been happening, it is now Keith Ruocco who's found a little daylight, and he is now moving in. Ruocco moves up to the 8th spot, picking up 2 more positions in the last circuit by. Down the backstretch. Here comes Ruocco to challenge again. Meanwhile, Christopher waiting in the wings. Top 3 cars, 19 laps and counting, 1 lap shy of the halfway marker.
As here is Frank Ruocco all over Matt Gallo like a leather jacket on a motorcycle driver. Christopher is right there. Burt leads the next contingent of cars. What will Frank Ruocco do? What a great job by Matt Gallo, as he is very stubborn at the front of the field, and he is giving Frank Ruocco nothing to shoot for.
Halfway down, 20 circuits complete, 20 circuits remain. Keith Ruocco just went around Woody Pitcat like he was stopped on the racetrack. Ruocco is now coming to life. His next target becomes Dan Avery. As he works his way down into turn number 1, can't do it, tries a different strategy in turn 2, Matt.
And that is a battle for 6th place. Let's see what Keith Ruocco does. Stays on the outside. Avery trying to croquet his way underneath Sean Foster. And now Ted Christopher trying to move into 2nd against Frank Ruocco.
Good racing action right there. Christopher working him over. Tries, can't do it. They pull back into formation and back into single file racing. Deep into turn number 3 and off the 4th turn, Gallo is still the leader of the pack. Ruocco is still running in 2nd, and Christopher still in the 3rd spot. 23 laps and counting.
So we're down to the final 17 laps in this feature. Ready to make a move. Sean Foster still running in the top 5. Right behind him is Avery, and now getting a little rambunctious, Keith Ruocco. Foster, great move underneath Burt. Can he make it stick? The answer is no. Burt maintains his number 4 position.
Meanwhile, Dan Avery is right there, glued to his back bumper. Up the hill comes Keith Ruocco. They come off the turn. Ruocco now moves to the outside of Avery. He's got the spot. His next target becomes Sean Foster. Ruocco coming on the outside, winds it up tight. Off from turn number 4. Foster to the inside. He lets him go, and Ruocco will pick up position number 5.
15 to go. Keith Ruocco by a nostril over Sean Foster. He is in 5th. Avery trying to make the same move on the outside. Matt Gallo looking for his first ever win at Stafford Motor Speedway. He is starting to open up some daylight between himself and Frank Ruocco.
Here comes Keith Ruocco. He made a bid underneath Eric Byrne. It just didn't work. Now all of a sudden Sean Foster starts to pull away from Avery. Here comes Woody Pitcat. That's the battle of 5 cars contending for the 4th spot.
Also in the neighborhood now is Zach Sylvester. Is he, well, he's a ways from the pack, but he is moving pretty rapidly, and his brother is right behind him, Josh Sylvester. At the front of the field, this continues to be a joyride for Gallo. We have 12 laps remaining.
Here comes Keith Ruocco. He now takes over the 4th spot. Not on the podium yet, but 1 spot away. Foster got sideways, gathered it back. A nice save for Sean Foster.
That's what he used to do in his limited late model days, but a great recovery. Woody Pitcat, he is harpooned to his back bumper, as that is a battle for 5th and 6th.
We've got a spin off turn number 4. It looks like Josh Sylvester, who has spun, tries to get it fired back up, and he does.
Ooh, he almost got into traffic, but he is able to get out of danger. And Matt Gallo, who does not want to see a caution flag and a double file restart, continues to lead by about the length of a tractor trailer over Frank Ruocco.
There is 10 circuits remaining, 10 laps left in the competition here. Gallo is the leader. Ruocco is 2nd. Christopher is 3rd. Keith Ruocco is 4th. Burt is 5th. 6th is Foster. 7th is Pitcat. And 8th position is Avery. 9th is Zach Sylvester. And rounding out the top 10, Jeff Malambe.
And Brainerd fighting for 11th, but the action is at the front. As leading by about a couch is the 77 of Matt Gallo. We are down to the final 8 laps, and Matt Gallo is in front. This could be the greatest moment of his racing career.
Woody Pitcat running the outside of Sean Foster. That is currently the battle for the 6th spot. As they head down the back straightaway, Pitcat tries to make a bonsai move to the bottom. He can't do it. Avery gets a 2nd wind as well. 33 and counting in this 40-lap event.
And right behind Pitcat is Avery, then Zach Sylvester. But Frank Ruocco is not giving up. He is within striking distance of the 77 car when they hit the line down to the final 6 laps. And these laps can't click off quickly enough for Matt Gallo.
Gallo doing a masterful job. When you can hold off Ruocco, Ted Christopher, and Keith Ruocco, you've really accomplished something. There is no question about that. Laps still continue to tick away. This time, when they come to the line, the high 5 in the air, 5 laps to go.
So leading by an arm's length, that is Matt Gallo. Ruocco in the neighborhood. Christopher a distant 3rd. Then in 4th, Keith Ruocco. So at this stage of the race, when they hit the line, there'll be 4 laps to go, and it looks like a 2-man extravaganza. And now, dangling to the back bumper like a trailer hitch is Frank Ruocco. Frank Ruocco was the quickest car in practice, but he has caught up to Gallo, but passing him could be very difficult.
No question about that. And while they're battling there, a little further back, Woody Pitcat and Foster are battling off the turn. Down to the line they come. It is still car 77 for Gallo, the leader of the pack.
Matt Gallo, 2nd generation driver. He is less than 3 laps away from victory. But Frank Ruocco has a lot to say about it. Christopher is not done yet in car number 13. Neither is Ruocco. They hit the line. 2 laps to go. Matt Gallo hanging on by his fingernails against Frank Ruocco.
No question about it. He's right there and still not to be counted out. It's not over with till they get the black and white at the end of this one. Matt Gallo has really come into his own here in this SK Modified division. White flag is out for Gallo.
How much ammunition does Frank Ruocco have left as he tries to gnaw into the lead by Matt Gallo? Gallo into turn number 3. He is 1 turn away from victory.
Back to the stripe they come. Off turn number 4, down to the line. He has done it. Matt Gallo will take down the victory. Frank Ruocco will finish in second. Teddy Christopher for third. Keith Ruocco for fourth. And Eric Byrne to round out the top 5.
The best ever finish for Sean Foster in an SK Modified. He'll take 6th. Woody Pitcat 7th. Dan Avery 8th. Zach Sylvester 9th. And rounding out our top 10 is the Matador, Jeff Malave.
Kurt Brainerd will finish in 11th. Todd Owen in a borrowed race car will finish in 12th. Jeff Burrill, a great comeback for 13th. Raymond Grissetti for 14th. And John Montesano to round out the top 15.
Then it was Adam Scrivera finishing 16th. Michael Jarvis in 17th. Josh Sylvester 18th. Tommy Bowles 19th. Mark Buckeye 20th. And Britt Anderson, who hit the turn 3 wall early in the race, will finish 21st. Into the winner's circle, Matt Gallo. I know you've known his dad for many years.
Yes, absolutely.
And Dave Gallo was one of those low buck guys. I don't know if he ever pulled off with his just son tonight, a victory, and he made a strong, aggressive move to get there against a former champion, Frank Ruocco. So he really earned it tonight. He beat 2 of the best to pull out the win. Ted Christopher and Frank Ruocco, 2 drivers who have 8 championships between them. What a great effort by Matt Gallo.
Certainly is. And not only did he take the lead, but they pressured him the entire time, and he never fell to the pressures. A good run.
Looked like he got better the longer the race went on. So Matt Gallo saved something for when the laps got the most important. So, victory lane is coming up. Out of the car is Matt Gallo, and the man with the microphone is Joe Koss.
Well, Matt Gallo climbs out of car number 77, a winner in the SK Modified division here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. And Matt, how does it feel to be in CarQuest victory lane and to hold off 2 of the best to get your first SK Modified win here at Stafford?
Oh, this is so awesome. First off, I got to thank my sponsor, Guidus Dairy. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. Tony for building me a great motor. This thing pulled hard tonight. Got to thank my crew, Dan, Tyler, my dad, John, Rob, everybody for helping me out. It's been a long time. I'm finally glad to get this win out of the way.
Real quick, what was it going through your mind over the past couple of laps, knowing Frank Ruocco coming back on you?
I was just hitting my marks. I knew I had to just protect that bottom, get the bottom, and you can just try to run away with it. And that's what I did.
And run he did. Matt Gallo celebrates on USG night in CarQuest victory lane in the SK Modified division. How about that? A young driver who ran the SK Light Modifieds, worked his way up to the SK Modified competition, and now can say that he has won at Stafford Motor Speedway as he sits in CarQuest victory lane. Now they're making the awards presentation as we speak and beginning to award him the trophies for tonight's presentation as he can celebrate after a good hard-fought 40 laps of competition here tonight. Well, the driver that finished in the second place tonight, Frank Ruocco. And Frank, a good run once again. It seemed as though midway through the race you started backing up a little bit. Were you trying to save anything to go back after, Matt?
No, I was just really, same thing as last week, just getting tight as the race went on, tighter and tighter. He ran a great line. Congratulations to him. It's his first win. It would have been hard to get by him no matter what.
All right, that's Frank Ruocco. He'll settle for the second spot. They've had a good, consistent season, still looking to get back up on top of their game. Ted Christopher finished in the third spot. Teddy, you ran up through the field pretty quickly, though. Same thing with you. Did you run out of gas a little bit there once you got up to that third spot?
We just, it feels like the right rear took off, just had too much stagger in and off, but I'd like to thank my crew, working hard at it. This car's getting better and better, and we'll see what happens next week for 100 lapper.
That's Ted Christopher. Remember, this is a car that they've only run twice this season. He'll finish in the third spot tonight in the SK Modifieds.